All right, hello everyone. Welcome to SEO UnMasked, episode number 48 on October 4th, 2018. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm Vidaletta.
Mr. Vin.
Mr. Vin.
And I'm Steve Brownlee.
Hey, all right. Pubcon's coming up quick.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I am itching to get out of here.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Las Vegas Convention Center, baby.
I think we need to do a recap on Brighton from last week and talk about.
I apologize for my lack of clarity, giving you 17 incorrect names and having no idea what had happened. That generally was the picture on the ground, though. No one really knew what was going on. There was a slap. There was a slap at the Hilton. Apparently, Charles Float is going to box someone at his conference in Thailand in a legitimate ring or something. So
that is such a ripoff of the old Wicked Fire days because Shoe Money
was on Wicked Fire though, wasn't he? I guess so.
Oh, was he?
I'm sure. Yeah. Charles must date back to that, and he's been around forever now, hasn't he?
Shoe Money used to challenge people to charity boxing events, and it was like a running gag because it never actually happened. But I think that's a funny challenge.
Well, I mean, there were so many rumors flying around. Apologies to Charles if he didn't arrange a boxing match for charity or whatever. But lots of stuff seems to have gone down at Brighton. I didn't see or get involved in anything particularly interesting, so I was mostly just talking to people and wandering around.
Well, you made it sound like you were right there.
I was a little bit relaxed by that stage of the evening.
You know what, man? I got to come to Brighton next time just because I've been talking to people all week, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm recovering from Brighton. I just got back from Brighton."
Oh, it is definitely
It's a shit show.
Yeah, it's the best search conference to come to. There's more side parties than there are things going on at the main conference center. Yeah, definitely come in April.
Yeah. We had such plans for hitting up all these conferences this year, and I made it to 2. That's better than nothing. That's better than 2017. This time last year, I was in the hospital.
Man, you've just wimped out of everything. I'll have done like 4 in the space of the last 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So who is Charles purportedly boxing against?
I don't wish to currently provide any further information.
Is he going to be using Steve's Golden Glove?
I don't know what he's going to be using. I did suggest that they should have like a choice of weapon each or something to make it more interesting. But I think even for Thailand that might not be legal to have like a sword fight at an SEO conference.
Yeah.
So I suspect that be a sword versus. We've always wanted to know those sword versus mace. I mean, just good weapon or.
That's actually an interesting combination.
Yeah.
The mace could totally win. The mace will win.
But well, I mean, a mace is pretty intimidating when it's.
Yeah.
What
about Steve's Golden Glove, though? That's like a catch-all winner right there.
I feel like once you've won the word of the day, then you just kind of stop saying it.
Yeah.
Although the whatever it was, gallons of baby oil or whatever it was, that lasted
55-gallon drum of baby oil.
Yeah, that lasted like 17 shows. So I guess there is a precedent for keeping saying the same one over.
Cool. Well,
I think what I'll say about my fighting skills is there is approximately a 0% chance of me ever winning any kind of Golden Glove.
Well,
that's very clear to all.
Your logic last week was that if you were the person that got slapped, you would want to see who slapped you, so you could decide if you're going to call the cops on them or beat the shit out of them.
It's really important never to start fights with people who are bigger than stronger than you. So in the case of what happened, where the guy was clearly, you know, someone I wouldn't have wanted to fight because he was bigger and stronger than me, in the position of the person who got slapped, I would have called the cops. So I think, you know,
that's sound logic.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if someone just hits you and like you're completely defenseless against them, you know, opening the door to a beating doesn't sound like a good idea to me. I mean, some kind of running away is definitely the tactical option you want to go with. I mean, I'm a big believer in, like the thing, you know, where they say a gentleman will walk but never run. I mean, that just sounds like a way of getting yourself beaten up. You know, if the guy's bigger than you and walking's not getting you quickly enough, you might want to pick it up to at least a canter.
Let me hang on, I'm sharing our YouTube link around in our chat. See,
Vin, did you see anything in that? We didn't talk about that supposed little mini update in September, huh? Did we talk about that last week?
I think we tried to, but no, we didn't talk about that in depth. I didn't see anything.
We got like 20% on our new site, but I mean it's such a small site. But obviously some people must have moved down. Well, you know, it's not like we've jumped across everything. It's just in some of the keywords we're on page 1 when we were on page 2 and stuff. So I think some people jumped down. There's definitely been some people.
I think it was like on the 19th. Well, there was 2, right? On the 19th and the 27th.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah.
For my sites, I saw like basic increases, like 5-spot increases. You know, nothing like huge.
We saw on the skincare site, we can tell that it maybe popped like 30%, like just looking at the days of the month, and then all of a sudden everything just shifted up. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. This site's small, it's like relatively small, I guess. But
yeah, over the past 2 weeks, I've had record organic search traffic days almost every day.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I attribute it to an algorithm change or if it's just
we also had a few links that I think finally got indexed too. That some big links, so it's like.
Well, the fact that we actually started doing some link building for it. The problem is we've had such a busy year. Like we kept thinking, oh, we'll free up a bit of capacity and we'll do some link building, and then, you know, we've launched the new infographic product, and that's been a lot more popular than I thought. Like I thought a few people would like just try out the infographic, but people are like, because they can sell it to their clients, we're getting orders of one of those plus 50 links and stuff like that. So it's gone pretty well. It seems like people's clients really like things that look pretty as well as their links. So
yeah. Well, what type of client is ordering that? Is it the niche site
agencies are ordering it on behalf of their clients. So all kinds of clients, because they can resell them. Like even at full price, when it goes live at full price at $12.50, they can sell it to their client for. Well, I mean, there's agencies out there selling that exact thing for $10,000, but obviously not all of our clients have got clients that can pay that. But most people are able to sell it for like $3.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously it's all bundled together as consulting, so the client's getting more than just nothing for the markup. The reason we can sell it cheap is because obviously we don't have to talk to anyone. We just take an order, do the work, and ship it. When you need hand holding and explaining things, you have to pay an SEO agency because they give you an account manager that will speak to you for 6 hours a week, and all that's in their markup. But having the pretty thing at the end helps them more value, I think, which is why it's been pretty cool for agencies, I think.
Nice. Is our friend Raul helping you out with that stuff? Raul?
No, it's mostly the coding we're using on. It's all just coding, so.
Oh yeah.
He's not been involved. I imagine he will end up being involved at some point, though.
Yeah, he wants to work. Well, wait, you're doing the interactive content too?
It's all animated, yeah, and or interactive. So yeah, all the time and cost is at the jobs.
You got to send me an example because I might just hire you to do that.
We're in the pre-launch at the minute where we haven't got any examples of the new one, just our old cheap ones that we do.
Yeah.
Animated heading area, like the hero area is animated, and then you get a few bits pop up or whatever. We've got 2 people on board who share that aren't on white label or non-disclosure with us. So they're going to be done. We were hoping to get them done before we went to Pubcon, but their clients didn't pay them on time, so they didn't order them. But they'll be done this month for sure, and then we'll have them on the site showing the different tiers and what they look like. So they're a substantial upgrade, but not much more money.
Cool.
Like they can be available at 2 different price points above the 500, so up to 1250 for the top end ones.
Well, if agencies are able to resell it to their clients, you guys are going to make a killing.
Yeah, and it's not just agencies, but it is mostly the occasional folks want them for their own sites just because the average link quality is slightly higher. So, it's the people who are just never going to link to your random article on your obvious site. If you've got some fancy thing, for the same reason the clients like them. The people who own websites are more likely to link to pretty things. I don't know if have I ever told the story on the show about my university paper that was just complete trash and I got a good grade on it anyway.
Yeah, you can tell it again because I forget the details. But
yeah, so I'll tell it really quickly because I wrote about it more in a guest post as well. I'll give Garrett the link at some point. He can add it to show notes. But so I was doing this thing about international trade and single currency zones, and it gave me a bit of. I just got completely like looped up in it. It wasn't making sense at all. And I only had like an hour till the deadline because it had to be on the computer, submitted at like midnight, and it's like 11 o'clock at the time in the evening. So I thought the best thing I could do to get a better grade would be just to make it look really, really pretty. And this was back when everyone was shit at Word. So I was just like doing some basic typesetting, colors, photos in there, just made it look like it was a corporate brochure. And banged out. And I got the feedback from the lecturer. Sometimes an excess of form is used to disguise a lack of substance. And I was reading that thinking, oh shit, he's rumbled me. But then the next sentence is, luckily in this case, that wasn't true. I was like, yeah, it fooled you, boy. So great, there's a lot to be said for that prettiness in your design work and the way your site looks will make your life a lot easier when you're promoting it, whether that's on social or link building or anything. Don't underestimate how you can when it comes to tricking people into encouraging people to link to something, you can put lipstick on a pig. So right ahead and do it. I mean, what did you do with the Viagra site? I mean, come on, back in the day.
Getting one over on a college professor is the best feeling in the world because they're always so smug and holier than thou. I took an online course and we're taking a final or something through the platform, and I found there was like some kind of bug in the testing software that if you like refresh the page, it like reset the timer on the test. So I basically had unlimited time to finish my marketing final.
Those online testing things are so dumb.
Yeah. But I got my college credits, so that's all that matters. So anyway, we got some news here. Some interesting news this week.
Yeah, 37 bad SEO examples or something.
So we've spoken about this kind of stuff before, like some of the hilarious things that SEOs have done to their clients. It's in the feature for the show. Like, I mean, what do you guys think? 4,000 ExactMatch domains for your local plumbing client? Yeah, for every town and every service they do. The only one I wanted to touch on was the internal links one. Like, we had an article before on one of these guru SEO blogs talking about there's internal linking doesn't do anything and all this other kind of bullshit.
Who said that?
It was one of the news items. Like some guy, one of the points they'd made was that internal links are crap or whatever. One of the gurus, I forget which one now. We covered it. We covered it on the show a month or so ago. And then I saw like just another example here. It's Adam from Optimizy. All he did was pop a few internal links in, the traffic like tripled or whatever. Obviously you see it, and like we said at the time, we see it all the time because you build the link bait, you internal link to it. I mean, Distilled wouldn't have an agency if you couldn't get away with internal linking, because all they do is build links to fancy, pretty-looking link baits and internal link. I mean, it's so yeah, internal links are still super important. And logically, it makes sense. Like, how else is Google supposed to know what pages on your site are most connected to each other unless you kind of tell them? And how do you tell them? You link them together, because that's how internet works.
Nah.
Yeah.
I didn't get to read this article. Was there anything laugh-worthy in here?
Well, the 4,000 exact match domains is pretty. There's loads of stuff about bounce rate and dwell time in here, which I think they're dismissing a bit too flippantly, because of obviously the way they boost. Oh yeah, so this is how this one agency boosted their clients' dwell time and bounce rate. They had everyone in the office at their client's office go to the website when they left in the evening and leave their browsers on the client's website. By all means, improve your dwell time by giving your visitors good content to view and a better experience. But yeah, it's
that's ingenuity right there, if anything.
Yeah, it depresses me, this industry, sometimes, but there were some funny ones in there. It's worth a read. I just mainly wanted to talk about the internal linking one, because it just seems really dumb to build a site, not even just throw a few internal links about, and even if you're not that methodical about it.
It almost depresses me as much as this tweet that you found from Rand Fishkin.
Oh yeah, the Rand of the week. Every week we'll be covering an amusing tweet from the leader of the SEO world. So he hopefully
SEO world.
The free SEO, yeah, he's the leader of the free SEO. It's different from China. So he helpfully recommends that to take power back from Google, you add terms and conditions to your website where you insist that any search engines that index your site must rank you #1, or they're violating your terms of service. I don't really know what he proposes you do next. Sue maybe, or something.
Yeah, let's rack up a couple $1 million in attorney fees and probably lose, and then.
Someone tried to get John Mueller to comment, but
he's not that dumb, is he?
I suspect he's not going to comment on this shenanigans.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Rand is now facing off against Google with his tweeting shenanigans over the past few months.
Why doesn't he just no index everything? Because Google's not going to rank him #1 for everything.
Well, I think that wouldn't achieve his objective of being guaranteed to be ranked #1 for everything.
But he doesn't deserve to be.
He clarified.
Are you saying that he's entitled to it?
Well, if it's in his terms and conditions and Google want to index him, it's their choice. Google has the choice to either index him #1 or not index him. And as the leader of the free SEO world, obviously they're going to choose to rank him #1, I think, rather than miss out on insights like this.
He says in the comments of the tweet that the point of this is just to point out that terms of use is so arbitrary and nobody looks at it anyway and they don't matter.
Well, I mean, to be fair to the internet, there is a robots.txt which governs what robots should do. Robots are clearly not meant to read terms of service, so I'd imagine Google does. Well, it does honor robots.txt, which is the correct thing it's meant to honor, and Google's terms of service are aimed at human users and what they should do when they're using Google. I think. And I'm pretty sure Google's robots.txt doesn't allow mass scraping of Google's results either for all the SaaS tools that do it. So I think this is about as logical as the stuff that usually comes up in the rant, to be honest.
I think it's pretty simple. It's like, don't bite the hand that feeds you unless you're prepared to be the master, which he is.
I think the Rand of the week needs to be a permanent segment, just because the name of the segment is just that good.
I was pretty pleased with myself when I put that on Slack.
Isn't it ironic? Hey, I suppose it made my fortune for a couple decades off of manipulating you, and now here it's just. Cheers, mate.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't heard anything about whatever his site is, SparkToro.
SparkToro.net.
Oh, they've got a new fake follower tool because there haven't been any fake follower tools out before on the market. It's pretty innovative stuff.
Managed Flitter. That's been out forever.
What? I haven't heard. What is this thing you talk? I haven't heard of any other tool doing this. I'll tell you one thing though. His celebrity is impressive. I'll give him credit for having a lot of weird worshippers. Like there was free beer available, and around I think 300 to 400 people maybe queued up to get a signed copy of his book and a selfie at Brighton SEO. I would have been pretty annoyed if I was Deep Crawl and I'd sponsored the main bar. And everyone stayed at the second bar to get Rand's signature instead.
Have you ever met him or seen him in real life?
I've seen him in real life multiple times, including at this Brighton SEO. Yes, I've never spoken to him.
Do you want to know a secret dream of mine? Do you want to know a secret dream of mine? I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this. I want to be sitting in a first-class seat on the flight because you board early. And I want him and his wife to come in the last boarding zone, and I just want to look at them and be like, "Hey, Rand," and I'm gonna turn my head and I'm gonna watch him go all the way to the back of the plane.
I think Sarah Bird is going to make him sufficient money that.
I've seen some of their travel pictures. Either they're modest and they just choose to fly economy. That's fine.
Oh no, all of their money's tied up in Moz stock, but Sarah Bird is making that worth very, very large amounts of money by returning it to profit. So out of her heart, she's going to make sure your dream never happens. So you can blame Sarah Bird for your eternal misfortune that Rand will be a multi-millionaire thanks to Sarah Bird.
So I just looked up all the index pages for SparkToro.net. And they have 6 index pages, but the title tags on every single one are amazing. SparkToro is a new garbage influencer marketing tool that nobody needs. SparkToro is a 100% all-male feminist company.
That's awesome.
Whoever built it,
whoever did that. I mean,
SparkToro is a new shitty influencer marketing tool that
nobody needs.
Or did you just say that one? Sorry, I was looking.
It was one of those ones that was so good it needed to be said twice anyway. So.
SparkToro. They're making like subdomains of subdomains now. SparkToro.net.cutestat.
The about page description is even better. SparkToro is a non-existent influence marketing tool created by self-absorbed marketing influencers for self-absorbed marketing influencers. Whether you're already a marketing influencer just like SparkToro's very own Solomon Doherty or Pythagoras Jones, or you want to be the next Gary Vee, if we ever create SparkToro, it'll be for you. I think it's great. Anyway, we've covered that plenty.
Yeah.
If you want to read about how you too can run multiple failed startups, get yourself a copy of Lost and Founder by Rand Fishkin.
Yeah.
Or queue up for a while and get a selfie. To be fair to Rand, he was very, very patient with the excessive level of worship he was inflicted on. I would have got fed up with all those people after about 10 minutes. Like why are they touching him? Like, what's all this hugging? And I'd have been like, yeah, you people can just go away now. I'm signing books, not
Yeah.
Don't ever buy my book. When I write a book, don't buy it. Don't turn up to my signings. Teach me a lesson for this cynicism and grumpiness now. I'll be there going, why is no one hugging me? Where's my high fives?
Didn't you already start writing a book?
I did. We were going to do a lawyer marketing book. and I probably will reuse some of it because some of the stories about some of the marketing they were doing, the people I interviewed, was pretty cool. But since we just aren't going to be a consulting agency and taking those kind of clients. Like, we work with law firms, of course, but it's always with like a smart owner who's, I need 40 links a month to my site, not explain to me what SEO is and how I grow my law firm. Like, we work with some pretty switched on lawyers that kind of know exactly what they want. So the whole point of the book became a bit pointless when we rebranded a couple of years ago. So it kind of went on the shelf. But there were some cool stories. I think that's the best kind of book when it's not about you at all. You're just like telling other people's stories and
anecdotes.
Yeah, anecdotes and
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah, you can learn. Yeah, I enjoy that kind of thing.
I do too.
I think that's why Gary Vaynerchuk's early books were better than these stranger ones he's writing now. Like like Dab Jab Jab Right Hook was just, here's some advertising campaigns. Let's talk about why they were good and bad. Then he did the Ask V book, which was just weird things about parenting and other random opinions he has and stuff. And like, I don't know.
Well, I've been trying to get through this Ray Dalio book. It's like a freaking Bible. But
which one?
When we go Principles, it's his personal operating procedures. I guess you would say.
I have that in my Amazon shopping cart once I finally finished the checklist manifesto.
His biography portion of the book is really, really good. But once you get into the actual principles, it's almost like a reference guide, so it's really dry. But I'm bringing .com Secrets on the trip and some other business book. Hopefully, I'm going to bring Unscripted. I haven't read all Unscripted yet.
Yeah, I need to get to Unscripted. The problem I find with his writing style is he's so much of it, he's just preaching to the converted. Like, he's trying to get people to buy into the idea that they're going to live the unscripted life or the fast lane lifestyle. We've already bought into that, so we only want like the 10%, which is giving the bit of his story, the advice, the actual. Like, we've already bought into that. Like, we're already killing ourselves to try and build scalable.
Now we need actionable guidance, right? And it's both books are basically two versions of unveiling a different lifestyle, I guess. But like you said, we already know that lifestyle exists, so we need some more information to get us closer to the finish line, I guess. But
yeah, I'm definitely going to read it because it was a very quick read, his first book, and I kind of started Unscripted and got distracted by a book about science.
If anything, it's motivating. It'll light a fire under our butts to.
Although Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time is very worth a read. If any of you haven't read it, it's a bizarre book to find yourself reading as a businessman, but I can see why he was so famous. Like, his ability to explain things that make no sense to normal people is pretty phenomenal.
Is the book for a layman or is it for scientists?
It's for laymen.
Oh, cool.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I read it in like one night. I couldn't put it down.
Nice.
I mean, it's not a huge book. It really is A Brief History of Time. The title gives you a clue. You can probably finish it in one night, but you could finish it on a transcon flight, no problems. Just pick it up and have a couple of gin and tonics and polish that bad boy off. It's I've taken to reading more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I find like just things that make you think about different things.
Reminds me of
Bad Blood. The Theranos story was fantastic because that company was so insane. It's like reading it's like you're reading a crime novel. Like, it can't be real, but obviously, as the subsequent court cases are showing, it probably was mostly real what he wrote about. So
yeah, I was a little overzealous and I bought like 20 books. Now I need to get through all of them.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna I'm definitely going to throw a few in the bag before I head out on a Wednesday.
Cool.
Get some reading up my and reading random shit. Like, I'm kind of alternating at the minute. Like I do one business book and then one random interest topic book, all non-fiction, but it's just something else I'm interested in or sounds interesting. Like the one I showed you guys before that I was reading a few weeks ago, Weapons of Math Destruction. And it's all about how algorithms are actually worse than you. Like you take the most racist out there, like crazy asshole you find, and algorithms that we've designed for things like policing, credit, jobs, they discriminate against minorities like 10, 20 times worse than like the crazy shouting old man on the street kind of level of insanity.
Yeah.
But because the algorithms do it without any supervision, without any scrutiny, it just kind of, oh, but the computer says he goes to jail for longer. You know, you can't call the algorithm racist. I mean, it's just using, but the data's just all so skewed. And I think, you know, everyone's always known that about statistics, you know, lies, damned lies and statistics, all those kind of cliches. And anyone who's ever done a client report, you know, as an SEO consultant, you'll sympathize with this. You've had a really bad month because there's been a Google update that's affected your client, and it's not really that bad a month. Like, you know, like what the graph goes like, it goes like this, and as long as the trend is that way, you're winning. But the month when it drops 12.5% because there's been an update and, you know, loads of people are affected, you're trying to find those one or two things that look positive, like, oh, although we dropped 12.5%, we're 6% better than this basket of 12 sites I've picked to compare us against. And you've still these bits of data that support your bizarre view in the world, where this was a great month.
When I was working for the financial services company, we would have to do quarterly reports for all of our clients. And obviously, if it was a bad quarter, we wouldn't want to show them that quarter's report. So we would change the time horizon to, you know, year to date or lifetime, whatever made us appear in a more positive light. And,
so despite all of us knowing all of this, we've now trusted how long someone goes to jail, whether they get bail or not, whether they can go to a certain school, whether they can get a job, whether police patrol their neighborhood aggressively or not. We've trusted all of these things to the very thing that we all know from our own experience is a complete bullshit and can be manipulated to do almost anything. And when you throw in machine learning, when the machine doesn't even have an opinion about what it's trying to do, it'll do whatever. But once it starts down a path, it multiplies in effectiveness. So that was a really, really interesting read, and it makes you think twice about throwing everything into just, oh, if we could just use machine learning to do this, we'd totally fix this problem. You think, well,
yeah,
machines would just keep doubling down on the one thing it thinks is working, and you'd miss out.
You know, coders need to, or mathematicians need to figure out how to add context to an algorithm, which is, I guess that's what artificial intelligence is trying to do, right?
Yeah, I think basically we're a long way off. Well, we're not a long way off very smart algorithms. We're a long way off them not being harmful a lot of the time for reasons we don't understand.
Right.
So yeah, so that's what I've been doing, just kind of reading a business book and then a book that can inform some of the things we think about as businessmen, but not necessarily a business. Although I guess Bad Blood was a business book. It's just, you know, I don't know what you're going to learn from that. Like, don't take a pinprick's worth of blood, dilute it to like 17 liters, and expect a blood analysis machine to work too well on it, which was my take from that book. But I mean, I could have told her that, and I'm not even a scientist. I don't know why it took them so long to figure out that wasn't going to work.
But we got a pretty cool article here from Gaps. Gaps is Viper Chill, right? It's the same author?
Yeah, that's Viper Chill. Yeah, Glenn. What's Glenn's surname? Glenn?
Alsop or Alsat or something like that.
Yeah, he did like the him and his buddy did like the SEO training school, didn't they, or something?
Marketing Marketing Inc. I think they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, where he drove around in a Lamborghini that he said, "Oh, but I've rented this. I'm just driving around in it for no reason. I rented it."
Yeah, I just got it. That's actually how I found this blog post, is because he was pumping that course again because he's reopening it. But this article is pretty good. It's just basically a look at the SEO industry in 29 case studies, just to kind of get a benchmark as far as what companies are earning and what kind of potential is available to SEO companies. And me and Garrett talked about that a lot at
Minneapolis.
And we were just saying, like, we bust our butt, but we really don't have a benchmark as far as, like, to say, like, how far we are from our competitors, or how much more potential there is for an agency to grow. And I think this article kind of does that for you all in 4,000 words.
It's pretty interesting to me to see the complete divide between people that offer a service. I mean, obviously this doesn't include a lot of service agencies, but the divide between agencies and tools. Tools make up, what, half of the SEO industry?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's an $80 billion industry. Like 40 billion isn't tools.
I mean,
no, he's just got it. Like agencies and spend make up most of that 80 billion. He's just picked different sectors so you can see them all. Like if he did the list based on revenue from the top, then some huge ad agencies that do SEO as well would be like. So I would venture to say that some of the biggest SEO spends go to agencies that aren't even pure SEO agencies. They're the ones that have got $1 million a month client budgets, 100 million.
Did he say where he gathered the 80 billion from? Just from search engine land? Boral Associates argues.
Yeah, it's an estimate. I mean, I've seen estimates for the size of the industry between 30 and 120 over the years. 80 seems plausible.
Yeah. The companies he listed here, and for anybody that's watching, he basically just listed a bunch of SEO related companies, whether it's an agency or a tool or an online community, and just revealed their public revenue earnings for 2017. And it's really like not that helpful unless you can compare one company against another, unless you can compare competitors. Now, like if I was SERPstat, I can see that they made just under $1 million last year. But compared to SEMrush and Ahrefs, they're in the 40+ million revenue range. So if I was SERPstat, that would be promising for me. I have a lot more room to grow. But again, like there's no like contextual relevance between all these companies.
No, and some of them might be massively more profitable. Like Moz is very, very big, but less profitable than Ahrefs. SEMrush is, I don't know.
Did you see the claimed fucking profitability for Yext?
No. I bet Yext make a lot of money.
They're claiming that they do 170 million in revenue, and they profit $126 million.
I can believe that because they have lock-in contracts.
As much as they pissed me off when I was doing local SEO, and I'm sure people say citations don't really matter anymore. I don't know, but they really got into something that was awesome business-wise. They locked something down, and you had to pay for it. Unless you knew someone, like I found a couple of people that would still update stuff that Yext had bought or bought the access to. Like, pretty cool. And it doesn't say, does it, if it's all from their local SEO type stuff.
Well, that's the main thing they do is like business listings. But obviously they sell business listings, advertising services to businesses that are listed on there. They do all kinds of stuff, I think, if you look at their portfolio of... They're just another advertising and data company, and they've got a lot of data and a lot of power.
I thought the most interesting case study on here was for solo SEO, and Glenn said it himself. He says, if I know this industry as well as I think I do, solo SEO is going to be one of the most clicked links in this article.
So
and it's because
I was going to say I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of them, but they're doing $48 million in annual revenue, and so.
Oh, all right. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
When you go into your cPanel, and it says like there's a little widget that says buy SEO or get SEO services
for like $50.
For an extra, you just add it on $20 to your hosting fee. Solo SEO is the one performing those services. So that's a fantastic idea, and whoever closed that deal is probably rolling in the money right now.
Again, fantastic business decision. I feel bad for the people buying that shit. If they even do anything, I guess. But
so then,
I guess when it's cheap, if you just take a couple of bucks off someone, no one cares. It's like, when they
I guess what does $20 even buy you? One PBN link a month?
Yeah, but get this. So 50 to 60% of that revenue goes straight to kickbacks to cPanel and the hosting company.
Yeah.
So 60% just on a kickback for the opportunity to be listed there. And then their average revenue per user is $20. So it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that tells you how many hosting clients actually pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Pretty insane.
But anyway, did you guys see any other interesting revenue numbers here? The Hoff, 10.4 million.
Well, that's we kind of knew the Hoff roughly before. I think Fat Joe would have been one to include as well, because they're another kind of lower end quality-wise mass market provider.
I had never heard of Ayuma, which is apparently a publicly traded solely digital agency.
Yeah,
Swedish. They're Swedish. That might have something to do with it.
A lot of these higher revenue companies I didn't even know about. Pretty crazy.
Ahrefs now being bigger than Moz was kind of interesting. They've really blown them out of the water in terms of growth.
Yeah.
And largely not on the back of masses of fundraising.
Well, you know what? When Moz was like trying to decide if it wanted to be a tool or a content company, Ahrefs I think kind of jumped in and started publishing a lot more, and their content has gotten a lot better. And I think that was a big win for them, because back in the day, the blog posts on Ahrefs were just god awful. Like it was. Just
there were loads of decisions that Moz made as well strategically that were never going to work for them. Like SEMrush has a huge team, and they've always had the view that to sell to enterprise and to sell to big agencies, you have a sales team. So even when we were really small, there was a sales rep at SEMrush dealt with us on every renewal. We just have their basic package now, so no one speaks to us, but we used to use SEMrush a lot, and they would do us like a 3-month discount deal every renewal and all this kind of stuff. And every enterprise uses SEMrush, like it's one of their SEO tools. And that was the thing that they were missing out on because of, to avoid discussing him personally again, because of the leadership at Moz's view that everything should be inbound and you shouldn't need to have support, you shouldn't have phone numbers, there shouldn't be any other kind of thing. Everyone would just go through the journey and sign up through your inbound content. Because of their obsession with that way of selling, they allowed people like Ahrefs to sneak up on them through just competing with them, like Ben was saying, in content and the tool. And they've allowed people like SEMrush to stay ahead because they've taken enterprise selling seriously and done it properly from the beginning. And I think that's something you've got to not let your idealistic views on things. Like, it would be super cool if you could just magically get enterprise clients to sign up using pure inbound, but they're used to someone speaking to them.
Yeah.
Like none of our enterprise clients would just have signed up with us if they just like could sign up on the website or something. Like, how the hell is that ever going to happen?
No.
Oh yeah, we're gonna spend $20,000 a month with you, and we're just not going to speak to anyone. I mean, it's just,
that's why you offer a free demo or a free consultation, and you create a relationship.
Oh yeah, have some teasers on the website. Give them a couple of things. Like we have a few things you can buy. Like you can buy a cheap paid link. You can buy one of the packages we do with Vin, where he does the content for the link bait and we do the links, and we do some of our design work, and that's all you can buy on the website. But people do buy those teasers just to check us out, or they get in touch to speak on the phone. But there just would be no point us putting a 20,000 a month link building package on the website. People aren't just gonna. It's not how that's sold. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
It's madness to delude yourself that enterprise people are just. They have to explain to someone and do a report on why they're buying something. Like it really helps them a lot if you write that for them into an email and they copy and paste it and then it's done. You know.
And a lot of times that an enterprise client is going to have to go through 6 levels of decision makers.
Right.
Before they drop $1, and sometimes you're going to have to speak to each one of those decision makers too to close the sale. So how is that ever going to happen if you just have
Yeah, what's the guy supposed to do? Like send the guy that is making the decision 9 episodes of Whiteboard Friday and say watch these and then you'll know why we're buying this. I mean, come on, that's not gonna work, man. It doesn't make any sense.
I actually saw that in some Slack group recently where a client was asking an agency to explain the reasoning behind everything they did for them. And my thought was like, well, isn't that why they're hiring the agency to, so they don't have to know that? But what the agency did is just sent them a link to the Digital Marketing HQ SEO course. And he was like, here, this will answer all your questions.
I have done that before. Yeah. We were still consulting. It was Distilled University, Distilled's course. Really cheap, actually. If you want just access to tons of conference videos, if you enjoy the speakers at conferences, but when you go to the conferences like we do, you find that you tend to have too much opportunity to talk to people and network, and you miss everything, except for 1 or 2 that you really wanted to see. Distilled, you get access to all the videos, and it's really cheap monthly subscription. You get all of the videos and an SEO course. So if you're someone who isn't an SEO specialist and you want to really understand that part of your marketing mix and put your strategy together, it's a really good way to do it, because you can watch years worth of speakers, cherry pick the ones, read. They've done loads of articles and course bits you can kind of follow through, like an e-learning thing. So definitely for non-SEO specialists, and even for if you specialize in one thing, like if you're just an outreach person, some of the technical speakers they've had over the years at Search Lab and stuff are pretty good. So that kind of course it's not, although it was kind of done slightly cheekily by Vin's example and by myself when the client was asking some pretty crazy questions, like, I'm not going to write your whole SEO course out here, just buy this one for $50 and go away. But in all seriousness, some of those courses are really, really good, and they're much better than any of the crap that people are selling for $997.
Yeah, the only conference videos that I've watched after the fact, the only ones were from Paul's conference, Tech SEO, and those are, and they're free on his agency's website. Those videos were awesome. But if you're into the tech geeky SEO stuff of looking, digging into code for 1%, 2%, 3% marginal gains, but if you geek out about SEO, the Tech Boost conference videos are free, and they're highly valuable.
I can imagine, because Paul's pretty serious.
Yeah. To
say the least about his knowledge. It's like, okay, dude.
I hit him up to come meet up with us at Pubcon, but
I'd love to see him in person, but yeah.
He just got back from Japan today or yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit too. I was going to go up to Boston to see him for the upcoming conference, but I'm going to be away the day it starts. So I wait till next year.
You want to know something nice about Delta versus Norwegian Air?
Everything?
When I book flights to Boston for the whole family, and Megan's having eye surgery now on the 28th, so we can't go.
Oh, God.
I just call up Delta and say, I have a medical issue, I need these refunded. No problem, Mr. Groff.
Do you pay for the trip insurance or no?
No.
Yeah, but you've got status with Delta. They're going to be nicer with you.
I have silver. It's nothing impressive.
No, but it's like with everything. If you've got any status, if you were just a random that never flew with Delta, good luck with that.
Because honestly, I just booked 3 coach seats because they were, what, 100?
Plus, they actually care more about your revenue class than your status. Like, if you're a flyer who like only makes silver, like you and me, but whenever we do fly, it's always business class. If something goes wrong, they're more accommodating than a gold who flies 87 economy flights a year that their company paid for.
How many flights do you need to go until you get a free flight? Because I purchased probably around 10, 15 flights this year.
How many miles do you
have? They don't add the miles until after the trip, right?
Right. If you do one transatlantic business class flight, you'll get enough points to do one leg domestic first. If you do just domestic, it's much harder to rack the points up. You probably need around, I guess, 3 probably domestic first returns to get 1 free domestic first leg.
Delta, you gotta be careful because it's really heavily dependent on the route, and then it's sometimes you can get sick deals on flights with miles. Like, I don't remember what route I was looking, but I could fly first class from Minneapolis to Miami, not during Pubcon, but some different time or something. And it was only like 28,000 miles, so it's at the lowest exchange rate, that's $280. Really good deal. But sometimes that route might be 80,000 miles, $800, and the price of the flight's only $600 in cash. So they sometimes get you because some people just use the miles because they don't want to pay, and
you're losing losing miles.
Yeah.
Now that I'm flying more, I got to learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, like I flew, like I'm flying from Miami to Philadelphia and back in first for free for 15,000 Avios, which is like American BA and all those, and 20,500 Delta miles for the return flight. So 35,500. $660 paid if I'd paid cash. So just under like 1.75 cents a mile, something like that, which is pretty good, I think. That would be to earn that many miles, I guess, is 2 transatlantic returns. So like I say, 1 transatlantic return is usually just enough miles if you get lucky, like Garrett said, on the redemptions at the time you want them. 1 transatlantic return is equal to 1 leg, one-way domestic first. So you can rack up the free flights pretty quickly. Obviously, that's with status because I get bonus. I'm only silver though, so I only get like 25% bonus miles or something. It's not.
Yeah. Is that the first tier Delta? Silver?
Yeah, silver.
Yeah. I think that's probably what it would be.
It's the second highest tier on one.
Also, like I just upgraded I had the American Express Gold Delta card, and I upgraded it to the Platinum, which carries a somewhat hefty fee of $195 a year. However,
that's pretty low.
Well,
for a Platinum Amex with the extra.
A lot of people that are listening, it might be money for them, but it's like what ends up happening is if you spend over 25 grand a year on the card, which I do, I just run all my household shit from it. Easy to hit that. You get automatically 10,000 miles towards status. So it takes 25,000 miles to hit silver. If you spend 50 grand, you get another 10,000. You're pretty much already there to silver.
Yeah.
And then the Platinum card, you get a free companion ticket. So whether I book a $8,000 Delta One flight around the world, I can bring Megan along for free. The companion ticket's good for any flight I book. Or if it's just going to be a coach, like whatever. That has value. So the fee is paid for, But they make it with the credit cards. It makes it so much easier to rack up miles and get status versus just flying. And the biggest thing is, if you have any of the Delta Amex cards, if you spend 25 grand on the card in a year, you hit the silver, gold, and platinum required spend. Otherwise, like if you had all the miles for platinum but didn't have the spend with Delta, I think you'd have to spend 75, or no, not 75,000, 10,000 bucks. So if you didn't end up spending the money with Delta, there's so much stuff, and it varies for every airline and flyer type.
I mean, I think the best card to have is probably just the general. I mean, I went, instead of getting the BA card, I weighed it up because obviously we've got a family, so all right, you're getting one of the tickets free, but do you really want to be paying? You're still paying for the kid in business class if you decide to do the trip in business class. So it's like the companion voucher has less value if you're a family instead of just a couple traveling. But with the I've just got the Premier Rewards Gold Amex. So like Delta had availability of one of the ways I wanted to go, and American had availability the other way. Obviously, all of my points are with American and BA because I fly one world all the time. I only had like 9,000 Delta points, but I could snap up that bargain Delta redemption in first because I can just transfer 11,000 American Express membership rewards over. They're in the Delta account instantly near enough, and then you just book the redemption. So the flexibility of membership rewards is huge. So unless you really are like Garrett, obviously he's like can't fly anyone else because no one goes from Minneapolis. It's a fucking nightmare if he tries to book a different airline. So like for him, everything being Delta is the optimal thing. But for me, when I'm trying to pick free flights, I want to be able to just grab them with anyone.
Yeah.
So having the flexibility to, I mean, I'd never fly Star Alliance. I try and keep everything to One World or SkyTeam.
Who's Star? Is that United?
United, Lufthansa. I just United. I had such a horrible experience with in the US, and Lufthansa treated me like shit one time flying back from a holiday to Italy. So I kind of feel like I don't really care that Lufthansa's got some nicer planes. If they're just going to treat you like absolute crap because you're English and they're German, it's like, well, thanks guys, it's really great. I still paid for this. Like,
sounds like Norwegian.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like,
Norge.
You know, I mean, it's okay to hate the English, but like, you know, you guys at least pretend to like us when I come over. You know, it's like if I paid money for something, you know, like the border guy has a little laugh and joke at me and takes the mick out of my accent when he asks me questions. You know, like just give me some stick, but don't just like treat me like shit. We like it. We like a bit of abuse, but not actual abuse. But yeah, so Star Alliance is dead for me. I don't have anything to do with any airlines because I just don't want any of their points. Because then I'd have to redeem them for something, and then I'd have to fly them again. They're like punishment points. Because you don't want to waste them. You're going to use them for something else. But yeah, you need to get into the points game. Then get yourself a Premier Rewards Gold Amex or the Platinum card. Or if you're going to go loyal with Delta, get yourself the Delta Platinum.
So, do you know if I open up another Amex,
All right, the way it works is you're allowed.
This is a different question. Does it open a separate credit line, or is it on the same credit line?
No, you get a separate credit line. The way it works is you're allowed. Remember, some of them are charge cards, so there's technically not a credit line as well.
Right.
Like, I think the gold in the US is still a charge card. Over here, they've switched it to a credit line. But yeah, like so, you're allowed. Some people have got more. Some people have got product less. But you're allowed up to 5 Amexes basically with different programs active at one time. But they have to be different programs. So to get the bonuses. So if you decided that you didn't want to spend the fee to get the Amex Platinum membership rewards card, you then wouldn't get the bonus if you sign up for the gold, then you change your mind and you're like, fuck, I'm easily going to hit this. I should have gone for the platinum.
Yeah.
You'd have to wait for them to target you with an upgrade offer to get the bonus. You couldn't just apply for it and get the bonus.
Yeah,
But Hilton, Starwood Preferred Guest, Delta, and Membership Rewards, they're all different points programs. So you can do those all separately and get the bonus, even though you've already got the other accounts still active.
Yeah, I get the upgrade offer to platinum once a month, and it's either 60,000 points or 100,000 points. I have to sign up with them.
Whenever it's 100,000 points, you should just do it automatically.
Yeah, because my concern was that they were going to close my existing credit line and open a new one, and I would lose the credit history. But I've just been too lazy to call them up and ask if that's what happens.
When it's the 100,000 Amex deal is like, it's not that common to get it.
When I upgraded mine, they didn't. It's still the same thing on my credit card that's been the last 10 years.
Yeah, no. If it's an upgrade offer, they don't close your credit line down and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, I was worried about the same thing because that was one of my oldest credit cards. But
yeah, you don't want to fuck your oldest account.
Yeah,
we should get moving here.
Yeah, let's get back onto our news here.
Well, that was news. Like people in SEO travel, we've given them some good tips.
You guys are like the frequent flyer mile kings. Like if you guys wanted to do a niche site, that's I suggest you going for that. But
that's pretty well covered. I mean, the points guy has it locked down in the US and Head for Points in the UK. Those guys, those guys are hardcore. I think we know a lot, but I think beating those guys would be tough.
Nice.
Like, I mean, they literally the guy literally has every fucking card in the country. I haven't got the credit for that. If I started opening up the cards, I'd get declined after 7 or something. The guy's got like 37 credit cards.
Jesus.
Excuse me.
Well, Nick put out a cool post on addressing total addressable online market.
Did you want to skip that or not?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's
we were
cool.
just sharing it. It's in the notes, isn't it? So
we're
people can
going
check
to
it out.
talk about it next week.
We're going to talk in more detail next week, but it's one of this week's news items. So we're not out of date next week when we're talking about it. Nick just writes too many words. So we need an extra week to read it.
But who put Mike's blog?
I did. We were kind of scratching at some image search algorithm stuff last week, and Mike put something out yesterday about it. And reading through it towards the end, he actually mentions it's really the driving force of the new image search algorithm update and how contextualness, if that's a word, and relevancy, and how the image plays has a place on the page. His data is showing that we're ignoring logos, we're ignoring like hero images, we're ignoring shit at the bottom of the page. Why is stuff used in content, and how it's relevant to that content, and how that should be weighted. It's not so much about alt tags that he says, but I've never tested that. I still think it's a lot about context, but how do you know? Unless Google's AI is so good at reading the image now, I think alt text and file name have to have something to do with it. All those descriptive properties, I think it had something to do with it. But
well, we saw that study. We saw that study that we spoke about on the show a few weeks ago, where it was returning search results based on the words that were in the alt text, title, the surrounding context, and people were trying to make it into something that it wasn't around racism and things like that. But really, it was just that in a picture of certain minorities, like an African American, for example, it would often be described in that way. So African American doctor or something. So if you search American doctor, more of those pictures are a word for word match with what you've typed in. Whereas you just type in doctor, it's the majority of images then, and you get more white doctors. But they were trying to make that into like a racism thing. And I said, really, it's just Google's just reading words, and the word American is in the image title and alt text for African American doctor. So if you type in American doctor, that picture's a better match, isn't it? It's just Google, the way it's still relying on words. It can't. possibly really understand what all these pictures are about yet. And there's been so many embarrassing fuck ups by Google on when they've tried to turn on their ability to understand pictures more. Won't go into them all again because we waffled on about this before, but
well, my question here is I'm just skimming what he found here, and he's basically saying that it's the context, it's the relevance of the content is how they're choosing the images. Well, wouldn't that just mean that they're going to take the top ranked page and take the images from that page 100% of the time? Right? Because the top ranked page is going to be the most contextually relevant.
Yeah, I would guess that would happen a lot. You'd have to test and see, do some searches and see. Let's just do one. Let's just do one at random, like I don't know, like Delta Dreamliner or something, and see one. So the top page is Forbes.com. We go to images. 1 mile at Forbes is number 2. 1 mile at a time is number 1 on the images. Who's number 2 on the Wikipedia Boeing USA Today? Let's have a look, see where they come up.
But what's interesting is 1 mile at a time isn't even present on the SERP itself.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of so it's not 1 for 1 with what you're saying. So there must be other factors in this than just the context on the page and the organic rankings.
Interesting. And it could just be, it could be different for the mobile index too, right?
Yeah, that's true. Try out your phone, someone in America.
How do I search just the mobile index? What is it, m.google.com?
Just on your phone.
Oh, I don't have my phone on me. Garrett, that's you. Just Delta Dreamliner.
Such a beautiful plane, the Boeing Dreamliner.
You know what, though, man? All of this talk about images appearing, in Google's rich snippets, it's all for naught if you don't know if that image is converting anything for you. Like, there needs to be analytics data about Google image search. That, to me, that's like first and foremost.
Well, I think it's important in this local stuff where I guess personally I'm more inclined on clicking one of these businesses on my phone that has an image with it versus nothing.
Are you?
I am, I guess.
We've said this before. I think as SEOs, like the way we choose what we click on is probably very different than what most people do. So, I personally look at like what if there's a proper title tag and a proper meta description, and that's if I see that, I know that it's probably a good website.
So what am I looking for? So I googled Delta Dreamliner.
Just what's the #1 organic result and what's it putting in the featured snippet image?
Okay, so the first result is for USA Today. They did a big feature on the 787, and they have four pictures. And then I scroll down a little bit, and it's people also search for.
So it's totally different then.
And then after that, after the people always search for, which is just different airplane models with pictures on a carousel. Then I get in the organic, and that is Forbes. The Airbus A350 is not the Boeing 787. And then US Today, Wikipedia, and then people also ask again. And then Boeing, who probably has the best information on it.
Yeah, like how the hell? I guess Delta Dreamliner. I'd expect Delta.com to.
Oh, you would
like
think.
like if I type in Delta Dreamliner, I expect to see. I mean, in fairness, I don't blame Delta for picking up a lot of A350s. The same reason it's been an ideal plane for BA on the routes. The 787 is fantastic for like BA uses it. It used to fly 2 bigger planes between Philadelphia and London. Now, like quite often, the red eye is the Dreamliner because there's less people and it's just so much more fuel efficient for the number of passengers. It's but yeah, the mobile results were totally different, Ben.
Yeah, I guess.
Completely different. Yeah.
Did they match the first rank page?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Yeah.
It's completely different results desktop. But what we were just saying, it's really weird that like if I type in Delta Dreamliner, I really want Delta's page about. Did Delta not get any Dreamliners? They must have got some, right?
I'm
They didn't
pretty
just
sure
buy
they
it.
had gotten some. Boeing has a page about it. Well, let me check on here. Delta.
They must have got some. They didn't.
It's actually
just
when I
buy
clicked my phone, I went to a page about the 737.
Maybe I picked a really weird search term because
Well,
Delta
no,
didn't.
because on the knowledge graph on desktop, Delta Airlines won't be flying 787
There
Dreamliners
you
after
go.
all.
Wow.
In a move that had been widely expected, Delta announced on Tuesday. I have no idea how old this article is.
I just looked on their fleet page on Wikipedia, and there's no Dreamliners on their fleet page. So I guess. So yeah, I picked a really weird search term.
Just a little tidbit of knowledge. Delta had inherited the order via its 2008 merger with Northwest. So Northwest have been the ones. And Northwest was a fantastic airline. I still don't understand how they went out of business, but that's probably why in these days.
Well,
Yeah, the A350 is a beautiful plane, so you're not going to be suffering when you fly on one, Garrett. You'll be all right.
I just searched Steve's Golden Glove, and the image does match the top rank page. So Wikipedia page.
Really?
Yeah. But it's not the first.
Does it show a guy running away from a fight? Otherwise, it's not the right picture.
Okay, so the image, the image is of an actual golden baseball glove. But if you go to the Wikipedia page, that image is literally the last thing on the page, all the way down in the bottom right-hand corner. So I think more testing needs to be done by Mr. Blumenthal to figure out how they're choosing the images.
I mean, I think he's definitely right that context will be used because you see that a lot with, like Google's valuing links in contextually relevant text higher than it's valuing links that are just kind of stuffed into a random article for obvious reasons. They understand that stuff, therefore it would be stupid for them not to use it because that's something they do understand.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he would find some correlation here and some definite.
But what happens as an SEO if you spend all this time and budget to optimize for image rankings and your ROI doesn't go up?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't do any more.
It's something that I've been interested in, and I haven't thought super hard on it, but I haven't had any like easy coming to Jesus moments where ranking images is super profitable, other than ranking GIFs or GIFs.
I mean, I guess like if I don't know,
like ranking GIFs, I think.
Do people like when people like when you click on the image? So like I've just done this Delta Dreamliner thing, and the 1 mile at a time image is number one, despite the fact that Forbes is number one, and it's like it's a transparent PNG of a Delta Dreamliner that never came apparently. Do people then click the? I mean, I guess they might because the 1 mile at a time title's pretty intriguing. It's like no surprise Delta cancels their 787 order, so I guess I might click that and then they might get traffic from it. Like I've searched for Delta Dreamliner to see when Delta's getting the Dreamliner. I've seen a picture of one. I've clicked that. I guess it is a plausible route to pick up traffic. I mean, I like for big sites you don't need many people to take that line. Like if it's just something you can optimize for and it's an extra, like you said about the technical SEO conference, if you can just optimize for this and it's worth 3% to you, like most of the people that click the image don't do anything, but you get an extra 3% because these people come to 1 mile at a time. like, I mean, you know that once he gets people on his site 1 mile at a time, they're travel geeks, they're interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
Each visit is worth a lot of money, so that 3% could be substantial for him. And Forbes is the #1 organic, so he's getting that 3% without having to beat Forbes yet for that #1 result.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I guess I was just thinking that there's other higher percentage things you could do, but if you've already done them and you're just trying to eke out more business here and there wherever you can grab it, I guess image optimization would be a good way to do that.
Well, like Garrett said, he's not even on the first page.
Yeah.
So he's getting traffic from the first page. Oh, well, I mean, I guarantee you he's getting some traffic, or she. I don't know who runs. That's not what I read, but whoever runs it, I'm guaranteed they're getting some traffic from being the #1 image.
Right.
It is the least sexy of the 4 images that Google's shown, though. Like that might not be the one that gets the most clicks. So if you're gonna do it, make sure like of the 4 airplane pictures that come up, yours is the sexiest. But other than that, I guess.
So, speaking of unsexy images, I keep on seeing this advertisement for
picture. No, tell me, you just keep seeing this picture of Steve's golden glove, and it's really unsexy.
No, it's. I'm going to show it in our Skype right here. It's an advertisement for SMX East, and it's just like a girl drinking coffee, and she looks like she just like rolled out of bed.
Sounds and I see this people.
Well, isn't that how we all look at conferences? That's to make you feel comfortable. It's like you can be pretty chilled here.
Yeah.
God forbid Vin and I wear a suit too. Never mind.
Oh yeah, we were like the only 2 guys in suits, right?
Well, I'm gonna wear a suit at least one of the days.
Steve and I wear suits to everything we go.
No. I always wear a suit at least one day. Like I know Garrett's dedicated. He'll do it like every day. I'll always wear a blazer and a shirt, but I won't necessarily make it with the suit both days, depending on how hungover I am on day 2.
I'll wear my suits during the actual conference, but when we go out at night, I'll wear like, nice jeans and a button-down. And
I'm not getting changed. If I'm in the suit for the day, I'm in the suit for the night, baby.
No, I don't know how you do that. I need to go home, take another shower, relax for 30 minutes, and then start the night.
I don't smell too bad if I don't have 3 showers a day. I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm a greasy Italian guy, so I need 2 showers at least.
Yeah, I'm 3/4 Italian. You're not getting away with that excuse. Try a different soap.
What's that?
Try a different soap.
Let's run through the rest of this shitty news here. So Barry was covering, Cyrus Shepard or whatever his name is, put up a poll, which I think the way everything is labeled, and I think, anyways, without if your website is not panelized, bad links can A, they might help you, B, be ignored, or C, damage you. And like I don't know, I just have a lot of things to say about how this was set up. But I mean, yeah, they might help you.
I mean, no one really cares. No one cares what anyone's opinion is on this anyway. It's stupid. Like,
I think at this point, with pretty much, and Penguin is running in real time, right? Yeah. Or as close to real time as possible. If you're not going to get an algorithmic penalty for links, it's just going to be devalued and ignored.
The only time I've seen someone get a algorithmic or manual penalty for links was when they were doing just straight up like donkey expecting to get burned, and then they weren't expecting to get burned, but just like really dumb.
They should have been, yeah.
And everyone else I see now that has shitty links, in my mind, I think they're just devalued.
Yeah, exactly. But my view is I'm not going to worry about it because I know that I'm actively building the right type of links. And if something that's, Google doesn't want to see gets pointed to my site, it's probably going to be devalued. And on the off chance I get a penalty, I can always recover from that penalty, with some elbow grease, but I'll be able to recover.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is as well, like if you're making content on your site that's people want to link to, then because it was Dr. Pete said this, because like Google has said this thing about, oh, if you're out there trying to get links, then it's against our guidelines. And Dr. Pete was like, come on, dude. If I'm out there like buying a Fiverr package, clearly that's worse than if I'm out there saying, hey, I've made this great thing and it's relevant to your audience. Like if you're out there just making good things and then saying to people, hey, I've got this good thing that you might be interested in, like John Mueller was trying to imply that's something. I mean, I said this before. I've said this in discussions with clients. They're like, are you guys 100% white hat? And I'm like, no one is 100% white hat. Have you not read the fucking guidelines? The guidelines say if you try and get links to manipulate Google, you're breaking the guidelines. So I hate to break it to you, Fractal, Verb Search, Distilled, all you big boys making your beautiful $50,000 infographics. If you're doing a music infographic on a hotel site, what the fuck do you think you're trying to do? You're doing a Star Wars infographic on a fucking hotel site or something.
Yeah.
You're trying to manipulate Google. The hotel site doesn't want Star Wars links. Now, obviously, you have plausible deniability because you'll say it's about branding. But come on, we're big boys here. You can admit you're trying to manipulate Google. Like any pitching, which is why I do the lawyers were zombies joke. Like, make your link bait something to do with your fucking business, so you're actually getting relevant links and you're targeting relevant people with a piece of content that can actually convert, because Google will figure out this lawyers with zombies, Star Wars on a hotel site, Axl Rose linking to a fucking hotel site because you said he had the biggest vocal range. Google will figure that shit out, even for the what the big agencies are doing. And like all of those agencies, like they know I love them because their work is phenomenal, but you have to rein the clients in. Like what they think's a good idea and what they'll sign off on isn't necessarily in their best interests. Like, all right, you're not going to get coverage in The Guardian if you don't do the crazy thing about Star Wars, but what value is that going to have in the long term, in terms of relevance and in terms of, are you manipulating Google? If you're making content that's relevant to your niche and you're telling people about it and they're linking to it, like Dr. Pete, I'm sure it was Dr. Pete. I apologize to whoever at Moz said it if it wasn't Dr. Pete. I'm sure it was him. He said, like, you can't just make a great piece of content and expect like fairy dust. Here's actually what he said. He said, if you write a book, you don't write your book, walk out into the middle of a field, throw a copy out there and hope some people read it. You take it to people who might want to read it, and that's what you do with your content. And that can't be manipulative, otherwise it's stupid. Obviously, if you write a book and you change the cover to the front cover of Playboy, you're trying to manipulate people into reading your book. I think that's where people have to be careful. If you're just making random irrelevant link bait, you're going to eventually, Google's going to figure out that was just nonsense.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it, too. Links aren't going away. I think we all know that. So
hopefully not soon. We got a family to feed.
Yeah.
We're pretty good at influencer marketing and reputation management too, though. So
yeah,
and also engineering and banking. So I don't know. I kind of feel like we'll be all right, whatever.
Yeah. Next on the list, Barry had found that DuckDuckGo had made a statement that links from Wikipedia help you rank in search engines. Yeah, I don't follow much stuff from DuckDuckGo, but I guess the idea is that they're more forthcoming and truthful about their statements than Google is, who would probably say that a no-follow link has no basis.
I don't believe that all no-followed links carry no value.
Yeah,
I especially think with all the major news outlets, no-following links, and that was actually an argument that one of the SEOs in that thread by Dr. Pete was saying. Like, we're in a world now where Google's already fucked up the link graph by making everyone no-follow everything. And now they're not going to count the links you can get. Like, what are they using to judge the quality of the site? Just the pure spam, random hits, the scraper sites. Like,
well, that's the thing. In their attempt to make things natural, they have made things as unnatural as possible.
Right.
The place you should always want a link from is a genuine journalist on Forbes. Like, obviously not one of their bullshit contributor accounts. And you can't get that now because they're all no followed.
Did you talk to Jared about this today? Because we were just talking about this.
I spoke to Jared for a couple of weeks.
Because so Forbes literally just last night or 2 days ago no followed all their links.
We have that as the next news story, maybe. Yeah, we have that as the next news story.
Oh, I guess
let's just jump straight in.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Let's just jump.
We have a good segue for once.
So Forbes Entrepreneur and Inc. are now on the bandwagon of no following external links site-wide, regardless of what kind of account it is, a moderated or a contributor account.
Yeah.
So Google has to have some kind of filter where those links still hold some kind of value, because just no following an entire site of that size, doesn't that affect the entire internet?
It does, yeah.
It has to. And if they're still using PageRank internally, that's got to fuck up PageRank for everybody, because of the sheer size of these sites, and 3 of them doing it all in one day or in 1 week even. If Google says that no follow links don't have any impact, I call bullshit. Maybe it depends on.
Well, they've never said that. They've always been like, even Matt Cutts, who, like I've said a million times, there's never been a lie come out of his mouth. His evasive answers and obfuscation of his answers around some of these things, they're always very vague about that particular thing. There's no one ever said they've got the right to take anything into crap. Like the thing is as well, like Rand has shown in various tests he's done, that mentions have an impact, unlinked mentions. So yeah, Google, even if Google said we will not count no follow links, your brand being mentioned on Forbes might pass authority. That's what people have got to remember. There's more than just links now. Links are just one way Google measures authority. They've added all these additional things. They're able to understand in a news article what entities are discussed in that news article. The same way as they look at citations when they're analyzing local. Not all of those are linked citations. Some of them are just text addresses and stuff like that. They're able to understand entities better than ever before, which is how they pull the featured snippets for the right entity. Like, we've got pictures of, like, this is an easy one for them, obviously the Delta Dreamliner crap, but they're able to show correct images of Dreamliner. They know what a Dreamliner is.
Right.
Like, they understand fully what a Dreamliner is. They understand fully what a Forbes is or a Volkswagen is. They understand entities, and if your entity is mentioned more in the news, that can be an authority driving, even if none of those articles even link. So it might be a kind of being mentioned by Forbes could still be good for your business and good for your authority, but there'll be no link to prove it kind of situation. So even if no follow links didn't count, being mentioned by Inc., Entrepreneur, and Forbes is probably still always going to be a good thing for your business. I would never turn down, like, Forbes phone up and they want to interview the CEO.
So
fuck you guys. Fuck
so
you
my
guys.
comment on that is, a lot of people in the local space say that citations don't matter anymore.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they work well. Used appropriately.
Dan Ray's SEO group, or whatever that group is, that he just gave away a free subscription to some local SEO course. I signed up for it. I'll give you the login if you want it. But I think there's a whole section in there on citations, and that's a pretty up-to-date course.
Yeah.
Citations still work. Well, because that's part of how Google understands the entity. Like, I think they don't work as like some kind of magic source. Like, if all of your citations are perfect and you add 50 more perfect citations, you're not helping Google with any extra information. But when have you ever taken on a local client that's had 7 different addresses, they've been around for 20 years? When is everything perfect? So it's not a magic source that you can just keep adding more citations to rank better, but fixing fucked up citations is still important. Having a clean record. So
And that's why all those local SEO services, which are essentially just citation services, that's why the first thing they sell you is a citation audit and then a citation cleanup. It's because your name, address, and phone number, your NAP listings are, probably mega.
Well, you boys were lucky enough to sit at the. You boys were lucky enough to sit at the big boy table with White Spark recently.
The reason I wanted to say
who's White Spark? In Minnesota, yeah.
The big boy table for once.
I wanted to say that I think a lot of the gurus are saying that citations don't work anymore is because, they're having a very hard time bypassing Yext, which now controls a very predominant part of the citation market and local. And it's not, here's a little don't tweet this, it's not very hard to find someone that works at the yellow pages on LinkedIn or wherever the fuck you need a citation from and just emailing her or messaging her and being like, hey, trying to update this listing but I'm getting blacked out. Sometimes whoever you talk to might say, well, I'm actually educated and we can't do that, you have to go through Yext. 90% of the time they'll just be like, oh, what do you need fixed? Or the citation doesn't even exist. Put me on the
definitely don't tweet that one because that'll stop working really quickly if you tweet it out there. That's one of Garrett's little. That's the thing. Like Garrett used to fix them all for our clients when we were doing local, and all the Yext ones got fixed too. And I always used to wonder how he did it because he never told me till now.
Well,
so that was a don't tweet this to Steve as well.
Yeah. Well, that shows you the power of just being a nice guy and stating your case in an honest way.
Well, the thing is, you've got a legitimate business with the wrong address on their service. Like, they might love the money that they get from these contracts, but they also don't love having bollocks information because it was a bad experience for their visitors, isn't it? Like, if you're Yellow Pages,
if you're an information provider with the wrong information,
right.
How do you make money?
Yeah, and they're all getting killed by Yelp at the minute, so they're all under a bit more. Ignoring Google, which is obviously killing all of them, but they're especially, and Yelp's got the deal with Bing, so like they're either being killed by Google or like Bing uses Yelp data. It's like it's a miserable world for all the other providers at the minute.
Yeah.
I would not take the head of SEO job at any of those places for any amount of money. Well, like 15 million with no performance guarantee. You just have to pay me it. Then yeah, of course. It'd ruin your reputation for life. You'd never work again. It has to be an amount of money where you can get away with never working again if you take the head of SEO at one of those places right now.
Well, I've got another local SEO project coming up fairly soon.
Nice.
So I will be digging into the world of citations sooner or later.
How much does Yext charge now? Do you know?
I have no idea. I haven't looked for years since we did consulting full time.
Honestly, guys, I don't even know
if it is it worth it. Is it like $100? Is it worth it just to pay it?
If you're an agency and you have like 50 local clients,
yeah,
their agency license is a no-brainer. Or at least it used to be. I no idea now. It used to be a no-brainer if you had a load of clients.
While Vin looks up the pricing, Steve and I have a review.
They don't have it online.
Oh, okay.
Yext doesn't?
No.
Oh.
I'm not surprised. It's an enterprise product. They want to sell you stuff. They want to get you on the phone. That's how they've got that big revenue, unlike Mars.
Well, yeah, they tried.
Although Mars is pretty big.
Yeah, what year was that? Was it like 2014? I think we almost bought it, but I can't remember how much it was. It still didn't make sense. It was cheaper, but I'm guessing it would be cheaper back then than it is now.
Yeah, I think the agency was like $3,000 or something, but don't quote me on it. It was some amount where it was a really close decision. Like, it's not too bad. But then it's like the thing where if you cancel it, they put everything back. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit ropey to fix things for clients. And then if we ever decided like we weren't going to be an agency anymore, all of their shit gets put back. That doesn't seem. I don't know. It just didn't seem right for us, like to do it that way. So we didn't.
And
Message people on LinkedIn instead.
I actually, this just jarred my memory. I got spammed by like this salesperson from Yext on one of my email accounts. He sent me like 12 emails, like not automated emails, like just like bugging me about and I had to like firmly tell him to remove me from his list.
Yeah.
But, who knows? Anyway, I think that's.
I know. We actually have a review this week. Garrett and I have been playing around. Well, Slack is just down all the time these days, and we talk to all of our writers, editors, like everyone on Slack, and we've just been getting angrier and angrier with it. And the mobile client sucks. Like the search doesn't work properly. You click jump to inbox, but it doesn't load. The JavaScript doesn't load the previous results quick enough, so it never scrolls to the right place. And we were just having all these problems. And then Garrett was like, "Well, Skype kind of works." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't really want to use Skype because I like to do all my client messages in one go and then not look at Skype because we get so many." And so I just kind of was having a look at what I was like. Don't they have a Skype for Business? And they've actually. Skype for Business is gone, and they have this thing called Microsoft Teams now. It looks like the way the messages looks like Skype, like the same kind of appearance. Things we really like about it. I mean, things I like about it are when you scroll, it like loads the scrolled up messages much more quickly than Slack. So even if you do have to scroll up to find something, it's much quicker. But there's a couple of things it doesn't have. Like it doesn't have Slack bot, which you kind of the way it pins messages is a little bit weird. Like when you pin things to action later, it's less of a to-do list than it is on Slack. There's a couple of things Slack has better, but it's an overall product. It's like a very early stage product from Microsoft. It's once they have an API and you can write your own bots and everything they've got in the product timelines done, I think this is going to be a huge competitor to Slack. I mean, I like it way better. It's cheaper if you're already an enterprise with Office 365 because you can just bolt this kind of thing on. This is another Microsoft's done right, I think. We're probably going to move to it. Garrett and I are going to keep playing with it for probably a month just to make sure it's before we bother everyone with a change of scenery, but I much prefer it to Slack so far.
Awesome, man. I didn't even know about that.
Neither did we. If Garrett hadn't said, well, can't we just use Skype, I wouldn't have even looked for it. So Microsoft needs to promote this. I guess because it's a development product, it's not finished.
Yeah.
Giving it its biggest push, but it's I'm really been pleased with it, and especially because Trello, the owners of Trello, made their own, and then immediately after they made it and launched it, Slack bought it and shut it down. I'm guessing Slack can't afford to buy Microsoft and shut this one down, so they're actually going to have a competitor whether they like it or not this time.
Yeah.
Because Slack just drives me insane. Like it just goes down constantly, and it's a chat app for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, why should it be down? It puts words on a screen.
You fucking reload it every time you pin something or unpin it, and God,
it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The only thing they've done right is Slack doesn't use up 4 gig of RAM when I have like 8 groups open anymore. Like that's the only thing they've fixed. Is it used to be just ridiculous for memory use. It's still ridiculous for memory use because it's an Electron app, but then so's the Microsoft one. It's just another browser-based app. So like the basic Electron disadvantage is still there, but yeah, that's the only thing they've fixed with Slack. Everything else just keeps getting worse. Like, and when it's down, you can't talk to your team.
That would drive me insane.
So what are you doing? You're jumping on Skype for emergency calls with people, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, based on the uptime of when was the last time you went on Skype and it was down?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
In 15 years. even
gonna-
before Microsoft bought them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to double dog guarantee that Microsoft's uptime for Teams over a 10-year period beats Slack. Now, both of them are going to be like 5 nines. It's going to be 99.99999. But the problem with Slack is they do random updates during the day because they do continuous deployment, which is cool, kids. All the it breaks applications during the day when your customers are fucking using it. Like, I don't care if you have 99% uptime if all the downtime is 2 a.m. Eastern. When you break for 3 hours, when you do break in the middle of the workday for everyone, that 5 nines is meaningless if all of the 0.001 is in the middle of a fucking workday. How's anyone supposed to get anything done? So I think for reliability, even if it never gets all the features that Slack has, and the API is never as good as Slack, and like Garrett jokingly said, you have to program in C# to write your bot. Even if all those jokes are true, at least you're never going to lose where your team can't talk to each other for half a day, because Microsoft are not going to have this go down for half a day.
Right.
Slack has just been so... I mean, you look at the is Slack down page, there's always something fucking wrong with that piece of shit. Like every other fucking... Well, not that much, but just way too much. There's something wrong with it.
I was so entrenched in Skype for so long that I really wasn't happy moving over to Slack. And I'm only in Slack for like masterminds and like Slack communities, basically. I don't run my team through a chat service like you guys do. But I just haven't been impressed, that much.
No, I've not been impressed with Slack. We just used it
because...
The
problem is, I guess we're kind of like a big agency for stuff in SEO, but for what it costs, if we upgrade to the paid version where we don't lose the chat history and all that shit, it's going to start costing, I don't know, what was it, a couple $1,000s a month for a team of 80 people.
Whereas Microsoft, we could buy it for the company, and it would be under $1,000, but they would all, like, everyone who contracts for us would also get Office 365 for free as well.
And I know my neighbor next door, he's a developer for a medical device company. Probably has 1,000 people on Slack, right? Big international medical device company. And we bitch about how much Slack sucks. And they pay for Slack. How much do you think they're giving Slack a fucking year? A couple million? A few million? And it's a piece of shit.
Third amount of money. That's the thing. Like
the only thing that's better about it than Skype is that you can organize slightly better. But other than that, it's like, I don't know. Is it really marginally better? I don't know. I don't think so. This new team thing seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a big upgrade from the, like, putting people in a group chat on Skype, because I know a lot of people do it. Like a couple of big publishing companies, they have like a Skype group where there's like 2 editors and you write for them. And they have one of those for every member of their staff, and then they have a group one for group, discussion where when they're sharing like a message, or you're not supposed to talk in it about shit. It's like just for them to kind of broadcast at their team in one channel and stuff like that. Compared with that, this is a big upgrade for organizations, and it's pretty close to Slack already, with the advantage that it's not going to be down all the time because they deployed it. The thing is, like, why do they even need to deploy anything? Like, just, I don't know, like once every 6 months they should be like doing a big upgrade or something, not just dicking around constantly with it, like, and breaking it half the time. Drives me insane.
That's a good find, though. That's a good review. Yeah. We should bring the review section, the review segment back. I like that.
Yeah, we just need to try things.
We just need stuff to review.
Yeah. That was a problem, right? We couldn't use stuff fast enough to review it every week.
Yeah, well, you had the best intentions. Like we'd be like, oh, we'll review this next week, and then we'd get to the show, and none of us had tried it yet. So it's kind of, it has to be something you want for your business, and then you'll try it properly and give a good review. If it's something you don't need, then I mean, I'll review PHP. Like any code written in PHPs is just annoys me greatly.
Yeah.
That's my review on PHP. We'll see how Vin gets on because his system's in one of the fancy new PHP frameworks that's supposed to be the magic source. It does look beautiful. We'll see what kind of server you need. You're going to need like your AWS bill is going to be like 19,000 a month. Just
dude, I have it on fucking on my shared host right now.
I know, but you've not got like 1,000 clients banging orders in. It's I mean because that's the one thing that's ridiculous about Python. I mean, it's like the version, like our system we're using is the one I wrote like almost a full 2 years ago now. The first thing I'd coded since I was 16 that was proper. Like I've written scripts to use in SEO and stuff like that, but the first thing I'd coded properly since I was 16, and Django and Python so fast that we have like one page that just is kind of crap, and it loads too slowly. Like we've already got pages on the new system that, not for our main stuff, just one of our side projects that we had someone else develop in PHP, and it's already loading slowly, and it's only been live for a month, and it's got barely any data on it. It's like, even with my crap amateurish code, and the amount we've grown since 2 years ago, and the number of extra users, the amount of data on there, there's still only one page that's broken, and it's an easy fix if we were keeping the old system. But because I've got version 2 coming out, everyone's just going to have to put up with it till January, taking like 6 seconds to load that one page. But everything else loads and updates lightning fast, even with my amateurish coding, just because it's such a fast. Oh, and we pay $34 a month for the hosting.
Yeah.
Like, and that's overkill. Like I tried on a lower. We do some stuff where we kind of massively rate the server, like to send API requests to loads of different data sources at once. If someone's doing a massive pull of like 50,000 of those, it was slowing everyone else down too much unless we paid a bit more. If we weren't doing those massive data collections, or we weren't letting anyone do them during peak periods, we could be paying about $12 to $14 a month would be enough. But we paid a 34 just so that you can just get in there, out of it in the middle of the afternoon. It doesn't matter, but it's insane how fast. And Python's not even a fast language. I dread to think if I'd learned a proper language. Written in Elixir or something, or D or something like that, how fast it would be. Like, because I don't know, like, pretty clever. These people that write these frameworks are really
smart.
Yeah. I mean, they just make it so easy to. What's in your head, you can just follow their my first app thing, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do my thing now. And they've taken care of all the scaffolding and all the. It's really amazing. Like all you have to do is draw the little diagram of your database, normalize it, and then you can just start coding. It's amazing how different it is than when I was a kid, where you just had to build everything yourself. Nothing was done for you.
Well, I'm sure that experience served you well, though, having doing it the hard way.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm really pleased. Version 1 of the system has lasted for quite a while, with only additional features. Really, there's been 2 or 3 bug fixes the whole almost 2 years now.
Yeah. Well, my last round of bug fixes.
It's not down to me. It's down to those other guys that built Django. It's like.
Yeah. My last round of bug fixes is supposed to be done this week, and I
thought you were a professional developer. Like, what are the bug fixes before it's even live?
You know what he did? He released he released it to me and like let me find the bugs, and then I was like, what the fuck? So I had to
Well, there shouldn't be many bugs at that point, though. Anyway, like
No, it was just lazy. I think he needed more time, is what he needed. So he's like, "Oh yeah, we're done."
It took him like a year.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that if it's not exactly what I need after this week, it's going. I'm getting a GitHub of all the code and bringing it right over to a different development team to finish up, and then we'll be good.
Well, you can big up your buddy's development team if you want.
Who's that? No, because I'm not yet mad at my current guy yet. So
but you can give your new guy a shout out. Like we all love him anyway, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, I gotta get rolling. As long as I wrap up here.
Sure. You know, I mean, come on, we love Nick, so who cares?
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think that's it for the week, right, guys?
Well, let's call it a wrap. Thanks for joining us this evening. Don't forget to smash that like button. Smash it hard for Sassy Steve. Ask him your SEO questions because no one ever does. Share, subscribe, and everything else. Should see you next week.
Yeah,
I won't be around next week, but we'll be around the week after at Pubcon.
Yeah, we'll do a show there, actually, for sure.
Yeah,
I think what we'll do is we'll do it at a different time. Like when we're at these conferences, like sticking to the time always ends up being a bit of a disaster. So
yeah, we can do it in the afternoon.
Well, yeah, we'll do it at a different time. We'll do some live interviews. We'll get some people that are there at the conference. We'll do some footage from the floor. We'll do something different for Pubcon.
All right.
Cool.
I think these live ones when we're actually at a conference, we should try and we'll do something different. We'll decide what we're going to do. But yeah, I'll be around next week. So Garrett and I will procure a guest, a replacement Vin, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys.
See you.
Adios.